Yo, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. My name is Chris, and today we're going to be talking about double jaw surgery and why I think it is the most important aspect in a person's life and why I'm deciding to move forward with it. Now, to get started, we need some background story. First of all, I'm a biohacker, longevity expert, health guru guy, and I became more of that after surviving stage 4 testicular cancer 4 or 8 years ago now. And man, what a journey. And thank God that I am here and alive. Praise God. I've been healed and I got through that. But there's a part of me that believes that this issue known as compromised airways or sleep apnea or sleep disordered breathing, all these different diagnoses, different terms, has been an aspect of why I got diagnosed with cancer in the first place. I think it definitely contributed to it for sure. And I'm going to give that reasoning later in this video. So we're going to talk about a little bit my past, which is when I was 4 or 5 years old, my parents told me that I would always wake up in the middle of the night, run across the hallway, go into their bedroom, get into their bed, and say I had a bad dream every single night, apparently. To the point where it became like a family joke. Around the holidays, it would always come up, right? Something like that would come up, and everyone would laugh, think it's funny, and including myself, right? I thought it was cute, I thought it was funny. But the truth is this was actually where the problem was starting, and no one knew about it. No one knew what was actually happening. What was actually happening is I was actually mouth breathing and I wasn't getting enough oxygen. And so my body was having nightmares, or my mind was having nightmares in order to wake me up because I wasn't breathing. And that's predominantly why people get nightmares. It's not because of a horror movie or whatever, it's because they're not breathing properly. And so that's the first sign of where this all started, but no one knew what was going on. And when you're developing and you're not in your mouth breathing and having mouth or breathing issues, this is when your jaw stops developing properly and it starts receding instead of projecting. And that just makes the problem even worse, as you probably have figured out by now if you're researching this area of health. The next thing was during all my activities like sports and whatnot, mainly karate. I remember karate class was always in the afternoon. I'd always be so tired during class. I always felt like so out of energy. Other kids were having no problem and just didn't make any sense. And my sensei at the time was like, "Oh, just get a protein shake. Just go to GNC, get a protein shake. You'll be fine." I'm like, "Okay." Of course, that didn't help fix the problem at all. And the next thing I can remember and recall was when I was in high school, periods 1 and 2, I'd always sleep through those periods basically. Like 1 and 2, I was out. I was just my head on the desk, lights out, didn't care about anything. And I still passed those classes with A's and B's, which ironically, right? But I just did not feel well. I didn't feel rested. I didn't feel good, right? And so, of course, once again, no one's thinking about why, right? We're just assuming that, oh, I must just be tired. I needed more sleep or whatever. No, I wasn't getting quality sleep at all. And the next thing that came up was 16, 17 years old. I had to get my wisdom teeth removed. Now, I didn't question things too much back then as I do now. But I do remember it sounding a little weird, like, "Oh, all the kids get their wisdom teeth removed." I'm like, "Well, what did they do 100 years ago? What did they do 200 years ago? They just they died or they suffered?" I mean, just didn't make any sense, right? But I didn't question beyond that. I'm like, "All right, whatever. Let's just do it. Dentist says I need to do it, right? So let's just get it done." Well, the reason why I needed to get my wisdom teeth removed was because there wasn't enough space in my mouth. And the reason why there wasn't enough space in my mouth was because my jaw did not fully develop properly due to the mouth breathing all the way back at 3, 4, 5 years old. And so that leads me to today, which is now looking into this issue heavily, getting the sleep study done, calling every surgeon in the country, talking to everybody, talking to my insurance, doing all the homework relentlessly. I'm talking obsession, right? I turned this into an obsession because I'm like, I am not going another year, another week, right? I am going to go another week with poor quality sleep, but I'm not going to go another year with poor quality sleep. It's not happening, right? I am fixing and I am solving this. So I did everything. I even talked to doctors overseas. I did consultations virtually with doctors overseas. I sent in photos, CT scans. I did it all, right? And I've been relentlessly all over the internet, on YouTube, Reddit, reading and consuming everything about this subject. So when I want to do something like this, I need to become an expert on it. I need to know everything I can. Now, I'm not going to say I'm an expert on jaw surgery. I don't know all the bone names and all that stuff, but I've learned enough to know, okay, I'm a candidate I'm a surgery first approach candidate, which is where they do surgery before orthodontics. And uh, I want to get this done like ASAP, right? Because who's a fan of getting surgeries? Like, who wants to prolong surgery? Who wants to push that outward, right? You want to do it, get recovered, and move on with your life. So that's kind of where I'm at now. And just based off of how I feel on a daily basis, I'm asking myself, how much better would I be performing if I had good quality rejuvenating sleep every night, plus good oxygen intake during the day, not just during nighttime, but during the day? How much better would I be performing physically? How much better would my workouts be? How much better would my recovery be from my workouts, right? Like, guys, I'm pretty fit. Not gonna lie, I am pretty fit. But how much more fit would I be if I was properly breathing and sleeping? It's mind blowing. So let's get into why I think this is the most important thing in a person's life, basically. Let's start with the function side. So from function, you've got physical performance, mental performance, all these kind of things, academic performance. Obviously, you could see how not breathing properly and not sleeping properly, how all these areas will be greatly affected. Greatly. I mean, imagine if you're, someone in high school right now and you're trying to get a scholarship for basketball or hockey or rowing, swimming, whatever it is, and your airways are compromised, you're not sleeping properly, and you're not getting good oxygen. Imagine how much better you'd be performing at top level if you had those things solved, right? Or if you never had the problem in the first place, your airways were open because you had full jaw development. Imagine for people who are trying to get into a top university for, I don't know, nuclear engineering or, you know, software engineer, whatever it is, or becoming a doctor. Imagine if you're performing at the top level academically because you're retaining all the information, you're learning better because you have proper sleep and proper oxygen flow. Imagine the trajectory of life change, like how much you could see how much this can affect your trajectory in life, right? That's just from a functional standpoint. Now let's get into disease prevention, or I should say, increasing chance of disease on a cellular level. If you're not getting good oxygen and you're not sleeping, you're at a much higher risk of developing all disease. Because, first of all, oxygen is the antidote to most disease, right? Disease can't thrive when oxygen is present. And the other thing is during sleep, that's when your body goes in and repairs all the problems. It repairs broken DNA, mitochondrial DNA, all these different things happen when you're sleeping. Well, if you're not getting good quality rejuvenating deep sleep, you're not repairing DNA. And that compounds over time. Now you have all these broken DNAs going around that are multiplying instead of being cleaned up by the body. And then low oxygen on top of it, it's a double whammy. So now you're increasing all cause disease. You're not functioning at top level physically. You're not functioning at top level academically. So it's like you see how this is affecting you. Now let's go to a step further. When we're all children, right? One of my teachers, I let this out on my background, but I'll bring it up now. One of my teachers wanted me to get tested for ADHD. She told my mom, "Hey, Chris is disruptive. He's not learning things. He's yeah." I don't know. She just didn't like me. She's like, "Yeah, I don't like Chris." Right? Because my other teachers never said this. It was only my fourth grade teacher, I believe. I don't want to say her name, but it's a funny name. But anyway, point is, my mom, thankfully, she's pretty based. She's like, no, I'm not doing that. My kid's fine, right? He's just being a kid, maybe whatever. So she didn't get me tested for the ADHD because had she had done that, she would have been like, oh, I gotta do what the doctor says. I will only get him on the medication, most likely. And I think back at this now and I go, how many children are probably being misdiagnosed with ADHD when really they just have compromised airways and they're not getting quality sleep and they're not getting quality oxygen. So they're not waking up rested. They're being disruptive. They're not learning properly because they're not retaining the information. Because when you are sleeping is when you consolidate short term memory into long term memory, right? This is how you learn, is actually when you're sleeping. So, of course, the kid looks like he has a learning disability, attention disorder, right? No, it's sleep. It's the airways being blocked. It's the mouth breathing. It's all this. That's the underlying cause of most cases. I'm not going to say every case, but it's probably a lot of cases, right? I haven't dug into the stats on it, but I bet you there's something there if we were to dig into this. And it just makes me go, wow, imagine someone on ADHD medication for 10, 15, 20 years and they never even needed it. Do you see now how crazy important this is? Let's get into the next level now, aesthetics and emotional well being. Now, I'm not going to say aesthetics is the most important thing, but we all know how much that affects us. It affects our confidence, our anxiety, our depression, or lack thereof of those things, right? This affects us. It affects how we move in the world. It affects the kind of people we hang out with, the kind of partners we attract or don't attract. I mean, there's so many different things. I'll even go as far as saying opportunities that come our way can be affected by our aesthetic appearance. I know that may not sound right morally, but we all know that this affects us in the world because how we feel about ourselves is also how we project outward into the world from a vibration standpoint, right? We all know this to be true. Like if we feel bad about ourselves internally, about how we look and whatnot, or whatever, then we're going to have a different vibe in how we interact with others. And that's going to give them a different feeling about us and be like, oh, you know what? I don't know. I'm not really vibing with that person as much. If you notice that people are who are like, very attractive, you'll notice that some of you will like them just because. Not because of anything they've done, but just because of how they look, basically. But you can't really put your finger on it. And so when we have properly developed jaws, we look a lot better, all of us, right? That's why when we look at these before and after photos on the surgeons' Instagrams, right? If you've been looking into this now, you look in the jaw surgery world, you start seeing that there's some of these top guys are sharing their outcomes on social media. And you'll see how you react to those outcomes. And you also see in the comments how people react. You see the emotion is there. Like, wow, like we're all so shocked and in love with the after photo. We praise it basically. Because, like, man, look at that person. Wow, they look amazing. They must feel great. And you feel great looking at them feeling great. And you're like, man, I want to feel that way, right? So there's clearly strong emotion behind the after photo, meaning what you should have had or close to what you should have had naturally. Now, maybe some people are have a better outcome after surgery than they would have had naturally, and maybe some people have worse than they would have had naturally had they developed properly. But doesn't matter, right? All that matters is they're better now than what they were previously to their before picture. Way better, right? Whether it's better or worse than they would have had naturally is irrelevant. But the point is it's clearly affecting us, all of us, and including myself, right? Like I'm not going to pretend like it won't affect me at all. Of course, it's going to affect me, and these things affect how we move in the world. And like I said, the opportunities that we attract, the people that we attract, all these things can change if that was solved. So I think you guys are seeing now that why I've come to the conclusion that this is the underlying most important thing in a person's life. Now, I will say it's not as important as, in my opinion, your faith in Jesus Christ. As a Christian, that's my faith. And I think that's, of course, the most important thing because that's your soul. But after that, I can't think of anything more important. I just can't because our face is the first thing people see. It's how we breathe. And without breathing properly, we can't sleep properly. So every physical hack that we can possibly do after that is secondary. I just don't see how anything trumps sleep and oxygen. I mean, without those two things, I mean, the next thing would be water and food, right? But without sleep and oxygen, none of this matters. And I've demonstrated it, guys. And I promise you, if you do a little bit of research on oxygen and sleep, you'll come to the conclusion as well that if you don't have that, anything else health wise is irrelevant, right? Oh, your multivitamins and this, that, and hormone replacement therapy. It's like those are all great things. I'm not going to say that they're bad, but they're not going to beat sleep and oxygen, period. It's not going to happen. And so that's how I've come to this conclusion, guys. And if you're struggling with this, if you're struggling with the airflow, sleep apnea, whatever, I highly encourage you to start your journey. Go get a sleep study, get the CT scans done, and just start the process. Start the process and don't take no for an answer. Be relentless with it. And if you just can't get it done here in the United States, you can't afford it, then maybe consider looking overseas because it's better to get something done and get this resolved than get nothing done. But the point is on that's a whole other topic is researching a surgeon. From what I've learned, it's not a local thing, meaning like it's not about finding the best surgeon in your town. It's about finding the best surgeon for you, period. Like anywhere, whether it's across the world or it's across the country, whatever, it doesn't matter. This is definitely not a local thing. This is a worldwide thing. But if you're looking at in North America, it's any state goes. And I'm on that process right now. I pretty much locked down on a surgeon that I'm going to be using, and it's going to be in Dr. Alfi's office. It won't be with Dr. Alfi himself, but it will be with one of his colleagues who does things basically the same way, which is they do they order the plates prior to your surgery. They do it pre-planning, and then the surgery is more plug and play. It's a much shorter surgery, less invasive, faster, etc. So that's the route that I've decided for me is the best. Now that might not be the case for everybody. It all depends, but that's the route I'm going. So what I plan on doing now, guys, is getting this process moved forward. Excuse me, getting this process moved forward and starting a date to get that surgery done. And I'll keep you guys updated. I'll try to make more videos and document this whole thing so you guys know, uh, the outcomes and everything. So if you guys want to be along with the ride, please like this video, leave a comment, and please subscribe. And I will be making videos around all other biohacking tips, of course, as well, to help your whole health and wellness. It's not just going to be a jaw surgery channel at all. But I just want to document this journey because I think it's a super, super important one. Like I said, the most important probably. And I want other people to know how it works. Thanks, guys, for watching.